Hey everybody, thank you for checking out today's podcast and YouTube video if you're watching online. All summer long, we are having these conversations about how you can be involved, what it means to do something together, what it means to have genuine, authentic community with one another. It's so important for us. And, you know, it's easy for us on a Sunday to kind of blow through announcements and get to a deeper word that Kevin has for us or another speaker may have for us. And sometimes it's good to take some time and really dive into the purpose and the reason why community is so important. So that's what this series is doing. So thank you for joining us. Hope you're having a great summer. Today, you're in for a treat. My guest today is Johnson Guthrie. He is the student pastor at our campus, which is still weird to say, by the way. He's a student pastor at our campus, and we're going to talk about the next generation. Now, if you've been following along, you know the first 8 episodes of this series are asking the question, why? Why these things are important. The second half, we're going to answer those questions and talk about the how. But today, we're asking the question, why the next generation values community. It's going to be a great conversation. I know as a former youth pastor and a current youth pastor, there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about. So if you have teenagers or you are a teenager, you're going to get a lot out of this. Can't wait to dive into it. Are you ready?
Oh, dude, born ready.
Okay, let's get into it. All right, well, like I said, Johnson, welcome to the podcast.
Dude, thank you so much for having me.
Hey,
wow.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, man.
It still is weird saying the youth pastor, and it's not me.
I bet it is weird for my former youth pastor.
Yeah, I mean, I did it for what, almost 13 years or something like that, and so it's a little weird for me. But you're doing a great job, by the way.
Well, thank you.
If I don't tell you that,
well, thank you, man.
You're doing a good job.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
It's getting close to a year now, right?
It is, and honestly, Craig, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's really flown by.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't seem like it was 7. No, it was longer than 7 months ago.
Yeah.
It was like 8 or 9.
It was what, August?
Yeah, August 28th is when I got announced.
Yeah. So it's been a wild ride. For those that don't know you very well, why don't you just talk a little bit about yourself, like who you are, where you grew up, why you grew up.
Well, I grew up because that's how God created anatomy. So born and raised in Searcy, Arkansas. I went to Searcy High School. I graduated in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. My senior year got short just a little bit, but it's okay. Graduated 2020, and I'm a student at NLC College, and I'm also a youth pastor and trying to pour into these kids as much as possible. I mean, it's my life right there.
Yeah. A little bit about your life.
Yeah.
So we're asking the question today, why the next generation values it. And I don't know if even you realize this. I don't know how much you study up on like the generational numbers and stuff like that.
No.
That does it all.
You were saying something about Generation Alpha. I was like, what is this?
Well,
is this
so I've been really interested in it lately, mainly because like I have a daughter now, so I'm like just kind of paying attention to like what will she fall into. But when it came to like student ministry, on the tail end of me being a student pastor, I always looked at the students I was leading as Gen Z.
Yeah.
Which was correct. But for you, it's shifting. So the numbers go like this. Gen Z are people born between 1995 and 2010. So you're a Gen Zer.
Yeah. Okay.
Gen Alpha kicks off in 2010.
Okay.
Which is 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Means you now have Gen Alphas in your youth group.
Yeah, that's true. So I have Gen Z and also Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're really reaching 2 different generations now. You're kind of in that hybrid ground.
Oh, wow.
And so it's really interesting because, and I'm going to get nerdy for just a second, but for those that don't know, the reason Gen Z is Gen Z, they call them the Zoomer generation too. I don't know if you knew you were called that or not.
Yeah, I remember that.
But your generation grew up with technology.
Yeah.
Like you don't know a world without social media and without those things.
Yeah.
Whereas old people like me, you know, the millennials and Gen Xers and beyond, like we know what it was like before social media and the internet and things like that. We grew up without all that stuff. So the question here is, studies are also showing, I'm going to read you a study real quick. According to Amity, 48% of Gen Z trust communities just as much, if not more, than traditional news sites and significantly more than they do social media.
Hmm.
So they trust relationship with people more than they do anything else.
Which is understandable.
So speak to it. Why?
I think it's understandable because we're just so marketed to every day, like so much so that like we don't know if it's true or fake, you know. And I think the thing we get from our relationships that we have with people, I think it's more valuable to Gen Z and Gen Alpha because you don't know if you look on social media if it's true or not. And with so many ads, it's just like, man, you know, I get kind of tired of it. And I know a lot of our students, they check out. You know, if someone posts a graphic on social media, it gets 3 likes.
Yeah.
But if you do something that's goofy, stupid, anything outside of just a plain old graphic, it gets 70 or 80. But like, I just think we're just so tired of the marketing, being marketed to data and all this. And I think we would rather hear, even if it's fake news, I think we'd rather just hear from our brothers or sisters in our relationships that we have.
So is it the next generation craving authenticity over everything? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because you mentioned like, and I know we both do social media, you know, we manage stuff like that. And, you know, that was my job before I was a pastor. And I know like it is frustrating to be able to work on a design or a video or something like that and put it out there and it just get nothing, get no traction. But yet there's dumb videos of somebody falling
and they get more
and they just
traction.
blow up, you know? So is it the authenticity thing? Is that what it is? Or I mean, is the next generation smarter than we are and they're just craving what's real?
I think they're definitely craving what's real, like what's more real. And I think they're really moving away from a lot of, like, if they can look at it and be like, oh, that's cool. They're like, oh, I mean, that's just cool. All right. You know, that's just cool. That's all right. Because, I mean, for the longest, that's all we've ever really seen. It's just like the production, the coolness, the graphics. And now it's like, you know, I've seen that.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing I haven't seen before. But this dude falling from a roof, I just have never seen that. So I think that's funny.
So you're with students all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like when they're in community with each other? Like, what is it that they value more when they're hanging out offline, in person? What is it that they're valuing?
They value. So what I've noticed is that they value a lot of laughing.
Really?
Stories that make them laugh. Like, that's how they connect. And they also really connect through music. So whenever the students and I are traveling anywhere, it's like the mission trip we took. You know, it was about 9. It was 12 hour. It ended up being a 12-hour trip. They stopped so many times.
Of course.
Man, anyway,
did you have a van breakdown?
No.
Okay, then it wasn't a real youth trip, but you got close.
No, but as soon as we hit the road, an hour in, hey, I got to use the bathroom. Come on, hold it for 2 more hours.
Yeah,
but they were playing. Honestly, it was kind of surprising to Ashton and me that they were playing so much sad music. Really? Yes. It was kind of got annoying. It was nothing but sad music. But honestly,
anybody want to specifically shout out, because you're gonna make them listen to this?
Well, Hayden Lee, McKenna Likert, Ty Dortch, TJ Rogers. They just kept playing like sad breakup songs.
Wow.
And Ashton and I are like, we're on a mission trip. Can we be happy? But they were honestly just connecting through it, and you could see that they were singing the songs with like a smile on their face, and even though it was sad, but they were just, you know, it's just how they connected. And after that, I think you could tell that their connection grew because they knew the song, you know. So, yeah,
that's good. I mean, I guess whatever connects them, right? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. Is there's going to be some common thread in their life that's going to connect them together.
Yeah.
There's more stat. I'm a stat nerd, if you haven't figured this out. But, you know, we talk about how much they value community and hanging out with each other. Yet studies show that they'll meet, and they'll a lot of their first interactions will be online. And so they may meet at school, but early interactions are all going to be online. 57% of teens have met somebody new online. Social media and online gaming are the most common digital venues for meeting friends. Only 20% of all teens have met an online friend in person, though. So for me, that number says that there are online friendships, and then there are real friendships.
Yeah.
Like, would you say that they're in-person friendships or they're real friendships? Would you agree with that, or am I off base there?
Define real. Like, what do you mean by real relationship?
When I see that as an old guy, you know, when social media first kind of came around, it was almost like you were a two-face. Like you had an online persona. You had people, you would accept anybody's friend request or follow request, which, by the way, we could do a whole series on social media because it's very different today than it used to be. Like, no more, you know, TikTok culture is not necessarily who you follow. It's more about what an algorithm gives you, right?
Yeah.
But in my mind, how I perceive it is, it feels like you've got all these online friends that you're never really going to meet, but they interact, they'll like your post, they'll comment, and then your real authentic ones are the ones you're at their house, you go to Freddy's or Starbucks and hang out, you go on trips together. That's an authentic, real friendship because you see them face to face. Or is this generation, it doesn't matter?
I don't think it matters.
Really?
I think if there's a common denominator of, like, since you and I both like sports, you and I can connect with sports. And if I met you on, say we're playing Rocket League, and I met you as just randomly hopping on a duo, and you're in there like, hey man, do you like sports? And we just started talking about sports. I think having that common denominator is really what we value a lot in Gen Z, and especially Gen Alpha, because I remember growing up that I had a lot of friends that I opened up to a lot more while playing Call of Duty than I would that I even did in my in-person friends. So,
wow.
I think you can have friends that you may never meet, but you can also have friends that you see every day.
Okay, talk to the parents then about that, because like even somebody like, I mean, I was doing student ministry less than a year ago, and this feels like news to me. This feels like breaking news to me, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, you have an online, yeah, they're kind of there, but your real friends are here. So you telling me like a friend is a friend, cross-platform. It doesn't matter if you connect with somebody, you connect. What can parents look at then? Like what can they identify in their students when it comes to what they're valuing and how they're making relationships? They may make friends with people the parent has never ever met before. And I mean, as a new parent, you know, that's a little bit scary, but I also get it. It's just how society advances.
Yeah. So
what would you tell a parent?
So what I would say to the parents is, honestly, you can do a lot of research without Googling. And if you're your student, I'm calling them a student. If you're a kid, you know, whatever, your student, if they're not a gamer, but they're a social media person like an Instagram or a TikToker, you can look at who they're following by clicking on it, and then you can scroll through all 1,000 of their following. And if you're curious about, like, okay, I see that this person's talking to Jimbo a lot more. Okay, let me go on Jimbo's account. Who are they following? And you can see, because, you know, like you said, they can put on a persona on their feed. You know, like, I only post my highlights.
Right.
You know, so they could be like that, but you could see, okay, but what is Jimbo liking? You know, where's he being tagged in? What is all these followings? You can do a lot of research about Jimbo, you know, when he's best friends with Jimbo through DM. But you can also go into your student's account and go into posts they've liked, and you can scroll through all the posts that they've liked. So if you're going to continue to like sports stuff, well, you're going to see that they're liking sports stuff, and they're going to be around a lot more sports things. If they're liking things that you don't want your kid to like, then you can monitor that, and you can say, okay, I don't like that. I don't want them to look at this. And then you can have a conversation.
Yeah.
If it's gaming, a lot of them have a headset, so you can't hear what the other people are saying, but you can hear what your kid's saying.
Right.
So, like, if your kid is responding in a way of like, that's a little sus, let me ask him about this, and, you know.
Which, let me translate for the old people, sus is suspicious. Just letting you guys know that.
Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed the whole time, like, you keep throwing stuff in there that there's going to be some people that have no idea what you're talking. It's like you're talking Chinese to them, but
That's true. They're sus. What's sus? Swiss cheese. But I mean, honestly, you can learn a lot by of what your kid's saying. By honestly, this is just a real thing by what they're saying. You know, if they have friends over and they're in the other room, you can poke an ear in there without them knowing. But honestly, I think just to monitor it and make sure they're around their, they're close by, because we always say, even the Bible talks about who you're around the most is who you're going to be.
Yeah.
And if you want to make sure they're going to be, good kids, listen to what they're saying, look at what they're looking at, and look at who they're following. Yeah, and I would tell parents also, because these generations do value authenticity above almost anything else, that's something as a parent to take note of. Mm-hmm. When your relationship with your teenager, with your student, be as authentic with them yourself as you can be. Yeah. Have that kind of relationship with your kid where you can say, listen, I'm just worried. I don't know this like you do. I don't know these people that you do. I know you value them as a friend, but I need to make sure you're safe. Yeah. And I think having those conversations, some of the best parents that I know are the most authentic with their kids. Mm-hmm. They're just real with them. They will talk to them like they're an adult. They'll talk to them like they're a person. They won't try to baby them or anything like that. And those are the parents I always look at as role models and say, you're crushing this right now. Your kid respects you, and you can trust them because they respect you. Yeah. Because you're open and honest with them. Mm-hmm. Shifting toward a biblical perspective, Proverbs talks about iron sharpening iron. Mm-hmm. And, hopefully, when the relationships with these kids, as they're building relationships, not just in person, but online, do you think they're finding people that are helping make them better? Or are they finding people, is it only that common thread? Or are they do you see this generation trying to improve themselves, trying to be better people? How can we cultivate and sharpen those relationships, even if they're online? What can we do as parents and adults, and even students that are listening to this? What are some tips for them to have healthy relationships and have a healthy community? I think a lot of conversations and a lot of things I notice, a lot of it comes from the culture that you set in your household. So like, if you have a culture set in your household of like, we're going to value the Bible, we're going to value God, and we're going to make this the number one thing, that when you do find somebody who's just cussing up a storm online, it's like, okay, like let's love them in a perspective of the Bible as a brother and a sister. So I think it all comes to like the culture you're setting, and the conversations you have early on with your kids. And I think honestly, I've even heard my mom say this, I just didn't think you were ready to have that combo. I just didn't think. But honestly, like, no, these kids are young. It gets younger and younger. Yeah, dude, that's true. they're ready around 6 years old, talk about friends and just the importance of finding good friends. And honestly, the conversations I have with students is like, they don't know that who they're around the most, that they're going to come. Like they're going to be. So like a lot of students, they're like, man, I just can't get out of this addiction and stuff. I'm like, who are you around? Yeah. Well, they do it too. I'm like, man, if you want to get out of that addiction, you got to start setting boundaries. And so I think just having authentic and vulnerable conversations with your kid, and I think to even add on to what you said with that is, these students love to see that you're not perfect. Like they love to see you cry if you feel broken. If you're broken, be broken. If you're sad, be sad. They just want you to be sad. Like they want you to be who you are. And you get their parents, they want you to be sad. Yes, they don't. Honestly, even when I come up to them, when I'm speaking to them, I'm like, guys, I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to try my hardest, but we're going to go into this moment. I've never led this moment before, but we're going to do it. And what I've found is that they're willing to try something new when I'm trying something new. So I think all that to say, I don't know if I'm hopefully I'm answering the question, but it really just goes back to the culture you're setting in the household. And if you want your kid to be a great kid, like you got to have first a great relationship with your kid and see where they're at. And a lot of parents I talk to nowadays, a lot of them do have a great relationship, at our church and stuff with their kids. And then we have some kids who don't come on Sundays, and they struggle a little bit. But I always tell them, like, just have a conversation, talk to them and be vulnerable with them, So I think it really just matters about that.
That's good. We're about out of time, but if when it comes to what these students are valuing, so just to recap kind of what we've learned, they value authenticity. They want real relationships, and that goes with their peers and with us as their adults and their mentors and things like that, and their parents. They want us to be vulnerable and authentic with them as well. And then relationships can be cross-platform. It can go from Starbucks and third period class to Rocket League, which is a video game, adults, to Fortnite. Is that still a thing?
Yeah,
Fortnite's still going. Okay,
yeah, it's still
and then social media and all that kind of stuff as well. And so students they value relationship, and I almost want to say they value it more than their older generations. I think they definitely value it more than millennials. I think there's a big gap in my age demographic of people who checked out almost.
Yeah.
There's all those memes and videos going around like, there's a reason millennials are this way. We went through this, a war, a recession, 9/11 and all this other kind of stuff. And, we're just beat down at this point. But I am encouraged by the next generation and their desire for community. It really encourages me, especially, and I'm just bragging on you for a second, seeing students who are coming together and excited to be with one another and excited to go to stuff together and just excited to be in community, and then seeing what they're doing. It is really, really encouraging to see that they value this.
Yeah.
Do you have any parting words for parents as far as the why goes, why they are the way they are, or students, so they can better understand their generation?
I think something that I've really just learned, and I kind of think something that parents can learn with this too, if they're having their friends over, and I think students too, if they want to reach someone who's in their classroom, what I've been learning is that you're not going to be able to have a deep relationship with everybody, but you can learn their name. And I think if you're a student and you want to spread the gospel in your classroom, just learn the people around you and their name. And if you're a parent and your friend brings over a lot of friends, just learn their name, and then the rest of it will follow. Because every time you come over and you're like, "Hey Jimbo," and they know they know their name. Yeah. And that I think that's what they matter the most to them right now. So
that's good.
Yeah.
I have to ask, do you know a Jimbo?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. But I can't use like the common names.
Yeah. You just mentioned you were consistent with Jimbo. I appreciate the consistency. That was good.
Thank you. Yeah.
So this is how we like to end every episode. I want you to pray to close this thing out, and I want you to pray over this specific demographic. So I want you to pray over students, and that they value the right things with community. We talked about why they value it, but we want to make sure they do value the right things. That they are valuing, what the New Testament, what Paul talks about, whatever is pure and noble and all those kinds of things. And so we want to make sure that those things are being valued above all else.
Okay.
So pray over us and them.
God, I just thank you so much for this opportunity just to talk about the why with the community. God, I just pray so much for these students to come to know you and come to believe, and also that they walk in that freedom of knowing you and what you have for them, Father. Lord, I just pray for your provision. I pray for your wisdom. I pray for your guidance, and I pray for your knowledge to come into this generation and come into the parents who need to help this generation, Father. Lord, I just pray that they know, that these students know that they are walking in freedom, that they do not have to be controlled by the things that feels like they are controlled by. They do not have to do that. Lord, I just pray for purity in their communities. I pray for purity in their minds, and I pray for wholesomeness, God, just goofiness when they talk about funny stuff, and it's not anything too inappropriate, God. I just pray that they have pure minds and pure hearts and pure relationships. We love you so much, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Well, thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope you got something out of it. It was so good. Be sure to yes, here comes the shameless plug. If you haven't subscribed already, do it. You not only you get the weekend messages, but you're going to get this as well all summer long. And who knows, we may do some more stuff like this throughout the rest of the year as well. You can find the video version of this. I can get it out there eventually. You can find the video version of this over on our YouTube channel if you're not already here by just youtube.com/NLC Cersei. Johnson, thanks, man. Appreciate you hanging out.
Hey, thank you, C-Dub.
Okay. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.